Well, at this moment, the ministers of Labour and Employment, the Minister of Labour and Employment, as well as representatives of the Workers' Union, have appended their signatures on the minimum wage consequential adjustment agreement. Yeah, that's right. So the marathon is finally over. Well, the document specifies what percentage of salary increase civil servants should expect as the government fully implements the 30,000 naira minimum wage. So there you have it. By this agreement, civil servants on grade levels 7 to 15 on the various wage structures can now expect some salary increase ranging from 16% to 23.2%. And while the federal government says its implementation takes effect from April, when the new Minimum Wage Act was signed, the fate of many workers at the state level still hangs in the balance, as many governors are opposed to the new minimum wage. Well, let's get more perspective on this. We are being joined by Dr. Anthony Bazwere, a public affairs commentator, and Comrade Musa Lawal, the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress. They both join us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this afternoon, gentlemen. Well, let's go into this. And I'd like to begin with Comrade Lawal. This has been, perhaps long drawn, but then we have come to a deal as it stands right now. So, on one hand, is Labour satisfied with the outcome of this negotiation?
Well, thank you very much. I think I will say that this time around, we are satisfied. Not because we got everything we wanted, but at least the process was very clear and transparent. And when we came to conclusion, it was an agreement of all of us. So we are satisfied.
Let's just help us understand this, because this process was largely behind closed doors. But at least now that negotiations are over, you can help us to, open the door. So, Comrade Lawal, this is still for you. What exactly transpired? I mean, from 66% now to where we are right now. So what did the federal government put forward? What did Labour put forward? And how did we come to this compromise?
Thank you very much. You see, what happened was that Labour went in with a particular percentage, 29 for grade level 7 to 14, and 24 for 17 to 15. I mean, for 15 to 17. But as it was, the government felt that it would not be fair that that percentage applies to everybody, because like everything with percentage, it will give different results, but the principle is the same. So we went with a program of just 2 items, 24, that's 25, and then 29 and 24. But government says no. So they came with a staggered approach, whereby they just felt that those at the top who are already receiving very high money should not receive the same percentage as those who are just on grade level 7. Initially, we did not agree because it caused a lot of issues. We said, okay, we want to apply a principle of percentage. We said, yes, percentage, but not percentage applying to all. They now submitted a proposal for us to study. At the end of the day, we discovered that the attempt of government is to ensure that those who are gaining from the money are not gaining too much over above anybody, so that it doesn't create another crisis for them. For instance, somebody on grade level 7 that gets maybe about 10,000 naira on top of his salary. Then somebody on grade level 17 may be getting around 60 or 80,000. They said it's not fair. And at the end of the day, after our meeting with our members, we agreed that, yes, that will not be correct. Okay. That one program should not provide so much money for a group, and those who are even most vulnerable are getting it less. Okay. So what we eventually agreed was, okay, let's agree on a staggered one, so that we see. At the end of the day, we're able to agree that if they stagger it, at least everybody will receive an average that is commensurate, and everybody will be happy.
Let me bring in Dr. Bazwere for a moment now. There are some that say Labour perhaps could have gotten more. I'm not sure about government's ability to pay, but they believe that if Labour, for example, had brought in the ULC, for example, they probably would have gotten a better bargain. And, they gave some other reasons. But from the outcome you have seen so far, what do you think of it?
Thank you very much. As far as I'm concerned, it's all about bargaining. It's all about collective bargaining. I think I have to, at this juncture, congratulate the Minister of Labour, congratulate the leadership of the NLC, Comrade Ayuba Waba, leadership of the TUC, and the Joint Council, the entire Labour force, for this agreement. Nigeria has to be made to be peaceful. The employers and the employees should agree It's one team. So as far as they have signed, appended their signatures, that is it. We are only like referees speaking from outside.
Right.
You know, though myself, I was also a labor leader, having been chairman of NLC in IBA for 7 years, led Nigerian Workers Delegation to ILO in 1997. So, but I have that feeling that every employer should always, you know, have good thoughts for
Okay.
his or her workers.
You know, Dr.
Because I've
Abazwere,
always told people anywhere I go.
there's this saying that goes, pardon me, it goes to whom much is given, you know, much is expected. Perhaps in this case, to whom more is given for labor, more is expected. So do you think this is enough motivation for labor to begin to expect more productivity?
I believe I've always told people that if you steal because you say you did it because of hunger, it's not good. Every worker should now also support the employer. We should ensure that we suppress funny things that at times happen in some areas. It may not be with everybody, you know. So it's all about cooperation. If you work somewhere and your industry collapses, you will also collapse. So I think I commend the two parties, the employers and the employees, for this agreement.
Right.
And I've also told my brother in the TUC who is here.
Okay.
Yes. So Nigeria has to move forward.
All right. So speaking of moving forward, Comrade Lawal, on a final note, are we expecting labor anytime soon, perhaps, you know, asking for an increased minimum wage? Is that perhaps going to happen anytime soon?
You know, statutorily, minimum wage is supposed to be every 5 years. But minimum wage is not the only way workers' salaries can be increased. There can be salary review. But in this case, we are through with minimum wage for the next 5 years. But we may be going for salary review because even now, the distortion in the system is such that a lot of people are disadvantaged.
Right.
For instance, after 2011, some organizations or agencies of government got increase in their salaries.
Okay, Comrade
That
Lawal,
was not applied to...
Comrade Lawal, you know what? I'm sure this will be a discussion for another time, but at least so far, so good. So we wish Labour the very best. I'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Antonio Abazwere, Public Affairs Commentator, and Comrade Musa Lawal, the Secretary General of a Trade Union Congress. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the program.